Not all those who wander are lost. J.R. Tolkien. Welcome to Aegis Travel Adventures. We are Ken
and Gisele. We have been to over 100 countries and are still looking to see what is around the next corner. We love wine,
travel, and adventure. Listen to our podcast where we share the fun of the magical places, people, and cultures that have touched our lives.
Aegis,
Exloring.
travel,
Travel.
adventures.
Adventure.
Hi, this is Aegis Travel Adventures. This is Ken.
and this is Gisele.
Welcome to podcast number 9. And on this one, we're going to talk about our day in Casablanca, Morocco, coming off of the Viking Jupiter cruise ship.
We also did a live podcast, a live audio when we were there, a video. Ken had been there way back in the day, 50 years ago. So we kind of gave you guys a little entry to that. So we did the Viking included tour. And they took us around the city, and we visited, again, as I call them drive-bys, because they're pleasant, but you don't learn a whole lot. The one thing that was interesting, we went by one of the world's largest mosques.
It was in the top 5 in the world, and the first 2 are Mecca and Medina. And this one was built by the former king who died in the 90s, I believe, King Hassan, I think the second. And it took 6 years to build, and it's 20,000 people on the inside and like another 60,000 on the outside.
So when we went there, they were closed for cleaning, and our guide had said, because we were not Muslim, that we were not allowed to go into the mosque, etc., which I didn't agree with, because Ken and I have been to numerous mosques, and if you dress appropriately and there's times of the day you can go in and respectful, most mosques are more than welcome to let you come. And so later we met people that are on the cruise ship that had went into the mosque and said it was absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And I've got some photos which I'll post on our Instagram account so you can see them, though we weren't there. But anyway, so we enjoyed them. We enjoyed walking around, and then we got done with the mosque, done with the tour, and we went and had some tea, some mint tea.
Hot mint tea, which in the desert, it can be 120 degrees in the summer, and you see everybody drinking this hot mint tea, and it actually cools you down.
So we went to a cafe, and we were just enjoying the little square. We did some quote shopping with the tour guide. You went to these places that supposedly have legitimate items. So anyway, so we got done with that, and we were walking along the street. And I'll let Ken tell you on our next adventure.
Well, we were looking at going, for one, to the cafe.
Rick's Cafe.
Rick's Cafe, thank you, which was part of the movie
Casablanca.
And with Humphrey Bogart and
Ingrid Bergman.
Back in
The 30s or
40s.
Yeah.
And that kind of put Casablanca on the map. So we thought, well, we'll go to Rick's Cafe. Well, the bottom line, while we're standing around and we're looking at it, where to go, and it was a 15 or so minute walk away, and we already knew this, but some entrepreneur decided that because it's Rick's Cafe's in the movie, and Americans coming to Casablanca and any other movie aficionados want to go to Rick's Cafe, it didn't exist. It was a movie set. And so this entrepreneur decided they would build a Rick's Cafe and make it
Tour stop.
but make it a replica of the original one, so it looked the same. And we had seen it on the drive-by on the tour bus, so we knew it was pretty close to the port. And we said, well, we can go in and look at it. We like movies. We watch a lot of old movies, and we're interested in some of the movies in the past that were,
Classics.
widely acclaimed, and so on. So we thought we'd go, and then this guy comes up, and he, speaking in very good English, and he says, I'm a student, and I see you. Can I help you? You know, and we asked about Rick's Cafe, and he said, well, it's a 15, possibly 20-minute walk from here, but he said it's closed, and it was closed because it's Ramadan for a month, and with Ramadan, the Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset. They don't eat or drink anything. So the city was pretty calm with traffic and everything. A lot of people don't work because, particularly if you do heavy work, you can't drink in it. And it wasn't 120 degrees there. It was in the 80s, which for March is probably about the normal. But still, if you're doing heavy work, you're sweating. It was warm, wasn't hot, and so there wasn't much traffic as we drove around on our tour. But anyway, go back to our little English-speaking student. He told us it was closed. You could look at it from the outside. We'd already seen that on the tour bus during the drive-by. So we said, well, look, our guide had mentioned a market that was just down the way. We could see it. And he says, well, that's all stuff made in China. He said it's trinket shops, etc. We don't know if that was true or not. Our guide seemed to think it might be something we were interested in, handicrafts, etc., etc. The shop he took us to that we had just left was full of trinkets and not handicraft stuff. So he said, I can show you. He said that the Berber women have an exhibit. This is the last day.
For widows and orphans.
Yeah, widows and orphans. And he said, and they have some really great stuff. And he said, I can show you where it is. And he pointed and he says, well, I'll take you. So he walked us up there. And,
chatting the whole way.
Yeah, and his English was quite good. And as soon as we got to the entrance, he said, this is it, and see you later.
Be sure to tell them I sent you.
So we went downstairs and into, not exactly a basement, but it was the lower level. And the first thing we saw was lots of rugs. So that was the clue that this was probably not a Berber woman's shop. Could be. In our travels, we've seen lots of rugs in various countries being made by women, mostly that are from poor areas like Kashmir and so on. So a gentleman came out, and he was very talkative and very friendly, and asking questions and so on. And so we said, well, we don't want any rugs. We already have rugs. We have too many rugs, we said, and that's probably true. And we love our rugs, but still. So
Thank you, Murat.
So Murat is our rug salesman that we've been using for many years, and he lives in Seattle. So we said, well, what else do you have? And he was showing us different art and that, and we saw a tablecloth. And he said, this is, made by the Berber women. I said, I have, it's a one of a kind. And we said, what about, there was like some napkins or place setting things that go with it. He said, I only have two. So he unfolded it, and we looked at it, and it was very pretty. And so we said, well, how much do you want for it? And, being the deal makers that many of the people are in these poorer countries, they start high and you work them down. And you think often you get a good deal by working them down. He said $453 when he did the conversion. We just looked at him.
I went, no, thank you.
No, that's not going to work.
I mean, we want
It's
a tablecloth,
nice,
but it wasn't that. So the gentleman, went on.
He kept saying, well, how much will you pay? Yeah. And so we finally got a price that was way below that. And he threw in a napkin or whatever
But
it
but
was.
my favorite thing was after we agreed on the price, and this is where I'm not so great at it. Again, he started like at $400, and so I probably could have gone down quite a bit less, but I stopped at what I thought was a reasonable amount. But as Ken pointed out, they're starting at an unreasonable amount, so you should just start them at a unreasonable amount on your end, and then you come to find something in the middle. We had a friend in India that we went with, and the guy wanted for a scarf. The guy wanted, I think, $50, and she said, "I'll give you $5 for it." And so that gives you the difference, and then
cashmere. I mean,
eventually we ended up with a price in the middle. But anyway, so we decided, and so we kind of Ken and I we kind of chatted. So we came to a price probably a little bit more than we should have paid, and but not anywhere near the $400. So we bought the tablecloth, and as we're leaving, the guy goes, "Well, now you need to give me $10 for the orphans." And I'm like, "I'm not giving you $10 for the orphans. We agreed on a price."
So he wanted to throw in a prayer rug. We said, well, we're not Muslim, so they're pretty, but we don't need a prayer rug. So anyway.
For an additional more money for the orphans. So anyway, then we started chatting about he was on Instagram, and we took photos and the whole bit. Then eventually we agreed on he gave us some 2 napkins, and we tipped the guy $5, and so we were kind of, everybody was kind of happy at the end. I think we probably could have gotten down a little bit, but it was fine. But the moral to the story is Ken and I consider ourselves pretty savvy travelers. We are aware of what goes around us. Ken is an excellent observer of his surroundings. So we bought this guy's shtick, and he took us, down the street, and all he was the guy's salesman. And let's face it, I mean, he was not rude, and we could have walked away. Nobody was holding a gun to us. Nobody made us feel threatened. We could have easily walked away, but we bought into the whole deal. And so we went ahead and we did like the tablecloth. So we have a beautiful tablecloth. And then we got done. The guy goes, "I've got some spices I want to see you. They're special." I'm like, "I don't want to see your spices, dude. We're out of here." So, and literally at that point, he kind of said, "See you later, honey," and walked away. So we had done the deal, and it's a funny story to say. The moral to the story is, just sometimes, like I said, we kind of bought the guy's deal and went along with it, and it was fun. We have a good story to tell.
And it's interesting with all the travels we've done, they keep up in their game, and that's the point is if you like something, and you can bargain and start low and don't budge and be prepared to walk away, and that's fine. But they continue to refine the shtick, and they keep up in their game, and they're getting better and better at it, and they're very believable with a lot of the stuff they do. So it's interesting. I was in Morocco 51 years ago, and the way you bought something was you go in the shop and you admire it. You have some green tea, mint tea, and you tell the person, "I'll come back tomorrow. I like your stuff. I like your shop, and we'll talk some more." And it's out of respect. So you come back the second day and drink some more tea, and you inquire about what you're interested in, who made it, and would he be willing to sell it? Because sometimes it's a family item. And then the third day you come back and you do the tea thing again, and that's when you get into the money, and it's a respectful way of doing things in Morocco. And so I have a beautiful blanket that's, supposedly this person's grandmother made. It is pretty. And it did take me 3 days to buy it. He wouldn't sell it to me. And initially, I didn't ask to buy it. I said, I like it. And he said, "Well, it's really not for sale, And that's kind of how they used to do business. Well, I think today they've realized most tourists don't have 3 days. They don't come back the second day. So they come in, they like something, he gives them a high price. They counter, they get the deal done, usually within 30 minutes. So, the world changes, and that's just the way it is with buying stuff. I'm happy with my blanket from 51 years ago, and we're happy with the tablecloth that we just bought. But I think the interesting part is they just keep up in their game.
And the thing that I would suggest is if, this is an item that was not horribly expensive. It wasn't, $20, but the point is, if you're going to buy something that's really pricey, I would be hesitant to buy it from one of those kinds of places. I think I'd want somebody who has some credibility. I mentioned Murat, our rug guy, which is how we kind of got to know him. Long story. But the point is that this is something that we can walk away with. And we come to find out if it is made in China, which hopefully it isn't, life will go on. It's not that big of a deal. But the guy did offer Ken a couple camels for me because I kept bargaining him down. And Ken kind of thought for a moment and thought maybe.
Yeah, but camels can't cook, and Giselle's a
Yeah.
good cook, so
Yes.
that didn't work for me. So,
And I'm sure it was part of the deal. But anyway, so we enjoyed our experience, and it's a good story to tell, and we had a wonderful time there. Would like to go back and spend some more time there. Again, it's a cruise stop.
in the country, Casablanca is it's the biggest city in Morocco. It's sprawling now. There's a whole area called the California district with pretty nice villas and homes that didn't exist when I was there before. And it's kind of, to me, it's kind of businessy and sterile. Marrakesh is a really cool place, and it's still cool with its huge Medina. And the Medina we went to in Casablanca was smallish, pretty typical. Had a lot of the normal stuff you see, but nothing like what we've seen in Istanbul, Jordan, in Amman, or other places. So Tangier is, I think, a little more mystique. I haven't been there in 51 years, but to me it had more mystique to it, being right across from Spain. So that's kind of our recap.
One thing I was going to say is our guide, which impressed me, was talking about the country of Morocco, and they are very tolerant of all sorts of religions. And though they may be predominantly Muslim, they're very open, and there's lots of different kinds of churches there. There's Catholic churches, there's Protestant churches, and he said
Synagogues.
they're very proud that they consider themselves a country, even though they're ruled by a king. So it's not democracy, but democracy light, if you will. But they are very.
They have a parliament, elected officials, and one of the stories he told that was really interesting was during World War II, a lot of Jews fled to Morocco because historically there had been Jews for a long time in Morocco, and many of them had migrated out and went to Israel and went to other countries in Europe. And when the war broke out and Germany and the Nazis were doing their bad stuff, a lot of the Jews that had historical ties to Morocco came back. And at one point, I think it was Himmler and the German army in North Africa demanded that Morocco turn the Jews over to them, and they refused. And so many of them never went back after the war. They still live there, and it has a sizable population of Jews in Morocco and synagogues. So, interesting story.
Seemed to be quite happy that they lived in a kind of a multi-ethnic area. So anyway, so that's our recap on Morocco, and now we'll get to our tip of the day. And my travel tip of the day is really about just taking in where you're at. I know we're all living by our iPhones, and I'm the first one to take photos with my phone, and you want to capture every moment so you think that you can remember it. But sometimes just stop and take a minute, put away your phone, put away the camera, and just take a breath and look around and see where you're at. Because if you're like us, there's some of these places we're probably never going to get back to. And yes, the photos are a great way to do it, but sometimes it's just nice to just enjoy where you are. And yeah, you may not get this most amazing photo of some building, etc. But
hey, they're out on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, they're on the internet. But the point is that by putting your phone down and not looking through the lens or looking through your camera lens all the way, you'll have an opportunity to just enjoy where you're at and take in the sounds and the smells and really look at the people that you're walking around with. Doesn't mean you do it all the time. It's something that I've become more conscious of as we've traveled, especially in museums. I don't need a photo of a great piece of art. Just put away your camera and your phone and just enjoy where you're at. And sit down, have a glass of wine at a cafe, cup of coffee, and just people watch. And then that you'll get to really enjoy and see where you're at. And then those are kind of memories that you'll be able to walk away with. So that's my tip of the day.
Ken's tip of the day. On this trip, it's been pretty interesting. We were able to use credit cards, and I say credit cards, a credit card that we use for travel, and you have to decide which one is best for you, but one that has no foreign exchange rate is what you're really looking for. It's your best deal going. You're gonna pay very little compared to exchanging money at a bank, and you're going to pay even less than going to an ATM where they charge you a conversion fee. So I would spend some time on travel credit cards. We'll probably do a podcast on those and talk a little more in detail on why we like the ones we have, particularly the one we use the most. And I think that's going to save you a lot of money in the long run by doing that. And going to banks and ATMs, although that was certainly a good thing versus using traveler's checks way back in the day. Things have continued to go digital, and most of what we've done has just been tap and pay. And it's safe. You see the amount, you tap, and that's it. And there's nobody takes your card, nobody does anything. And we feel like it's saved us quite a bit of money. So that's our tip of the day.
And it's safer here than actually in the U.S. because you don't give them your credit card. Yeah. They bring you the little machine, which I think more and more people are doing. So anyway, so that's our tips of the day. We are now in Spain, and we will recap in the next few days on where we've been and what we're doing. And we'll continue to about our travels. And we thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for being part of our journey.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Ages,
hijos,
travel,
solo,
adventures.
adventures.